Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another meeting of the City of Thousand Oaks Council on Aging. Would everybody join with the Council on the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Francine, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Borghi?
Here.
Commissioner Dukoski? Here. Commissioner Kam? Commissioner Norkin?
Here.
Commissioner Poprock? Commissioner Shantez? Commissioner Searden? Here. Commissioner Silberberg? Here. And Commissioner Steiner? Here. Thank you.
We're all here. Okay, first order of business is the public comments, and I call upon Dale Chagrin to come before a mic.
Hi, I just wanted to take a minute to announce the upcoming Love Run that Senior Concern sponsors on June 3rd at 8 o'clock a.m. It benefits Meals on Wheels throughout Ventura County and Conejo Valley, and we'd like to see everybody come on out there and participate. Also, I wanted to announce on May 19th the Senior Festival at the Goebel Center, which is from 10 till 2, and looking forward to a good turnout. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This commission, established by the City Council of Thousand Oaks, is the voice of the seniors at City Hall. We invite all seniors to come to our broadcast here at City Hall, watch us on Public Access Channel 10, or drop in on a mid-monthly meeting at the Goebel Center. The commissioners are always ready and willing to listen to your concerns and present them to the city for their review and action. I hope all of you have noticed that the programs we've been offering during the past year are more attuned to the needs of seniors, and that we have brought more experts on senior needs before these cameras provide you with information on Medicare, Part D, affordable housing, living healthy, and living independently, transportation, legislation, and almost anything that impacts senior living. Today's broadcast continues in that same vein with a program entitled Solutions for Senior Care. We can help make your life easier. We have a panel of 7 experts to talk to you about different aspects of senior living and senior care. And now I'll turn the meeting over to our program chair, Jim Searden, who will talk about and introduce the speakers.
Yes, thank you, Harry. As you said, Solutions for Senior Care is a panel of experts offering advice, resources, and information for senior citizens and for those who are caregivers for senior citizens. Our first speaker is Julia Weissong, who will be presenting an overview on the purpose of Solutions for Senior Care. Julia?
Thank you, Jim. First, I'd like to, on behalf of our group, thank those of you who came in person to see our presentation, and I would certainly like to thank those of you who are viewing at home. We are Solutions for Senior Care, a panel of experts providing resources and information for seniors and for family members of senior citizens. As many of you know, we're living in an era of an aging society. 10,000 Americans turn 60 every day. The fastest growing age group in our population are those 85 and older, and it is projected that by the year 2030, the senior population will have nearly doubled the numbers that we have today. Now, what is driving this phenomenon? Certainly, improvements in health care have given us longer and healthier lives than we've had at any other time in history. But one of the largest factors, as we see it, are the baby boomer population. This is a bulk of our population that has driven society at every walk of their life. In the 60s, we had the youth revolution. In the 80s, they brought forth the economic boom. And today, many baby boomers are not only carrying full-time jobs, raising families, but they're also helping to care for an elderly parent. Solutions for Senior Care is here to help. We are so excited to bring you the information that we have today. We'll be covering a broad variety of topics. First, we'll be talking about caregiver stress and free resources that are available to caregivers in our community. We will also be talking about home care, home health, and what you need to know when you're looking for a caregiver. We'll also be talking about products that many of which you may not even be aware of that make seniors safer in their home and help to ease the tasks of daily living. We'll be discussing senior housing, the different types that there are in our communities, and be educating you on the agencies, the free agencies that will advocate for you as you're looking for senior housing. We'll be discussing long-term care, the myths and misconceptions associated with it, and the growing need in our nation for long-term care insurance, not just today, but in the future as well. And lastly, we'll be talking about reverse mortgages, which are a very misunderstood product right now, but are a fantastic opportunity for the right senior. With that, I'd like to again thank the council for hosting our presentation, and I'd like to turn the floor back to Jim. So you may
Thank you very much, Julian. Our next speaker is Tony Kam. Tony has her master's degree in healthcare administration with over 30 years of as a healthcare professional. She spent the last 14 years as a family consultant for Coast Caregiver Resource Center, working with families and caregivers of adults with brain impairments. Now, Tony specializes in providing information on caregiving issues such as stress, and includes a facilitating a stroke support group for caregivers, families, and services. Today, Tony will be speaking about the impact of caregiver stress and the free services and information that Coast Givers can offer. Tony, by the way, is also a member of our Council on Aging, a very valued member. Tony?
Thank you, Jim. You know, this is a very large topic, so it's difficult to cover every piece of information on caregiving. So we're just going to touch I'm just going to touch a little bit on the caregiving issues. But one of the first issues is that 83% of persons that are caring for their relative are 83% are caring for relatives. You know, we may think that they're caring for other people, but 83% are caring for relatives such as parents and children of. And 59% of the caregivers work full-time or part-time. And this seems to be a growing area for caregivers because we're all working longer. And we are caught into that, what they call the sandwich generation. I know that I am one of those persons caught in that sandwich generation also in caring for a parent. 62% are married or living with a partner. So it affects the family. It's not just the person caring for the person, but it also affects the family members within that unit. A typical caregiver is 46 years old, employed woman, who spends 20 hours a week caregiving. So along with the 20-hour week of caregiving, they're working a full-time job and they're caring for their children also. So it's a pretty big job. And so when we look at this and the overall compass of things, we talk about the stress of caregiving. The stress of caregiving brings on several different areas. There's a lot of physical stress, a lot of sleepless nights, fatigue, anxiety, and sometimes inappropriate laughing or crying. And of course the emotional stress is intense, and then there's apathy, and there's a lot of anger around it. And one of the things we don't mention here, the underlying feeling of stress many times is the feeling of guilt that brings on all those emotions. The feelings of feeling guilty of why you're feeling this way. Why do you feel like you shouldn't have to do this? Why do you feel angry? Why has it happened to me? Why did it happen to my parent? Why did it happen to my child? Whatever it is. And then if you don't take care of that, it goes into depression. The other areas is sometimes people, because they don't know how to handle their stress, they go into substance abuse. And you'll see a decrease in personal hygiene because the priority, most of the time, is the person they're caring for rather than themselves. And then, of course, it affects work. You're taking time off from work because it's a balancing act, and we don't know how to get around that. The financial stress, for almost everyone is great, because the caregiving role is great. And there's limited resources out there to help you with that. So if you haven't planned for this, then you're in for a rude awakening. And so that's the reason why, and one of the reasons why, we decided to put this panel together, because I'm trying to get to my, I have to share with you, computer is not my forte. I am from that older generation, and I need to find the box. Thank you, so.
You're welcome.
That's why I have a helper here. Anyways, solutions for care. We are here, like Julia mentioned, we're here to help you with some of the caregiver resources that are available, education on the different types of pay and government-paid caregiving that such as Medicare, Medicaid, that is provided for some people. Senior housing information. There's definitely different resources out there for senior housing. And a long-term care planning, which is something we need to think about early on to plan for this. And, of course, reverse mortgages. Okay. Help. Okay. Sorry. Anyways, to start my talk today, I just want to bring into this picture a wonderful resource out there for all of us that's free. I happen to be a family consultant for them. They've been around for 25 years, and it's called the Coast Caregiver Resource Center. The Coast Caregiver Resource Center is managed out of an office up in Santa Barbara, and also by the Rehab Institution of Santa Barbara. And this area that we're addressing right now, the Conejo Valley, Thousand Oaks area, Simi Valley, who's ever watching this, covers, the Coast Caregiver Resource Center covers this. And we specialize in the caregiving issues and dealing with the stress. And, of course, the community resources that are available for you out there. And then one of our areas of specialty is also the different brain impairments that happen to us. And I also mentioned that I run a stroke support group for caregivers right here in the Thousand Oaks, Westlake area at the Los Robles Hospital, and that's for families and survivors. So if you are a family member taking care of someone who has had a stroke, please join us at our stroke support group on Wednesdays from 2:30 to 4. Okay. Do I have it? Okay. Just stay next to me. Okay. Nice to have a guy around the house. Coast Caregiver Resource Center provides information and education and supports the family through this role of caregiving. It's provided to non-paid caregivers. If you're a paid caregiver, it's not available. It's for non-paid caregivers. You don't have to be a family member. You can be a neighbor. You can be a friend. Anyone who is caring for somebody with a brain disorder such as Alzheimer's, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Huntington's disease, dementia, brain tumor, stroke, ALS, and brain injury due to a trauma. Thank you. Coast Caregiver Resource Center, we specialize in, like I said, the caregiving issues such as, I don't want to get up this morning. Not only do I have to go to work, but before I get up, an hour before I get up, I have to take care of my mother or my father. I got to help them get dressed. I got to make sure the caregiver shows up. All these different issues that you have to deal with when you are a caregiver. And, of course, the diagnosis impact that affects the whole family, such as how do I speak and address my parent when they don't know what I'm talking about? How do I talk to them? When I talk to them, they become more confused. So we address some of those coping skills, and we address some of those issues of how do we talk to somebody who has dementia, and how do we communicate with them. The community resources out there. There are so many of them to mention, but what I'm just mentioning today is in your packet of information, I did put a flyer, a copy of a flyer that I had put together, and it has the telephone number of all the different disease entities that I mentioned in the beginning. It's their number to call. That's a wonderful resource to start with. So if your person has Alzheimer's disease, you want to call the Alzheimer's Association. If it's Parkinson's, you call the Parkinson's Association. They have wonderful booklets and things that are for free for you. And many of these programs are offered to families and teaching them how to manage this disease. The other resource out there is the Ombudsman. I made a copy of this, and if there's none in your book, okay, then they're on the counter over there. The Ombudsman have some wonderful areas that they cover also, like the qualities of a stressful caregiver and patient rights. They're all different issues, so be sure to call them. And last but not least, this wonderful resource book that the Council on Aging put together for the Senior Resource Directory for the Council on Aging, the City of Thousand Oaks. This provides all the resources that are available to you in this area, and it's not in your packet, but it is on the table. And if you're not here and you're just watching this on TV, you can pick this up at the Senior Global Center or at City Hall. And please do, because it has some wonderful resources. One of the areas also that the Coast Caregiver Resource Center provides is financial assistance in providing in-home health. It's limited. It's for about 6 months. And when we say for respite care, what is respite care? Respite care is in-home support services such as home care services. It's a family member coming over and providing you with a break. It's a volunteer coming over providing you with a break. That's respite care. Also, the best respite care out there is adult daycare. And we help to provide some of that financial care for that. I'm sorry, but I do have to rush through because I'm running over time as usual. And I'd like to blame it on the computer, but it's me. But Caregiver Resource Center, please call us at our number, 1-800-443-1236. We'll help you with providing education to our caregivers. We teach a class on powerful tools for caregivers, care planning, referral to agencies, and last but not least, a legal referral to an elder law attorney for an hour and a half of free legal consultation. We will pay for that for you, so that you get the appropriate information and planning. And then we also provide 6 short-term counseling sessions with a counselor that we're contracted with in the area if you need to talk to someone about your caregiving issues. Hit me. Again. Sorry. Thank you. Anyways, there we are. The Coast Caregiver Resource Center. Call them at 1-800-443-1236. And Rebecca, our intake coordinator, will take your information and then send it to the family consultant in your area. Thank you, and we'll have our next speaker, I guess. Jim?
Thank you very much, Tony. Our next speaker is Dale Chagrin. Now, Dale will be speaking for Denise Carter, who could not make it because of a medical emergency. But Dale is a graduate of Ohio State University. He spent the early part of his career working at a geriatric service agency in a social work capacity. Dale has spent more than 14 years at SmithKline Clinical Laboratories working in marketing and outreach. The past 10 years, Dale has been working as a home health and home care community liaison. Now today, Dale will be speaking on home health, home care, and what you need to know when hiring a personal caregiver. Dale?
Thank you very much. And I'm sort of piggybacking a little bit on Tony, because it leads right into the kind of caregiving that I'm going to talk about, which is home care. What she does is a wonderful thing, because she's working with people that a lot of them are indigent, and she's helping them out to find resources that they otherwise possibly couldn't afford. I'm going to talk a little bit more about home care in general. The part that the other speaker was going to speak about was home health. My topic today is going to be primarily private duty caregiving. I want to explain the difference of the 2 types of care that you receive at home. Home care is obviously very important because it enables you to stay in your home environment, in a comfortable environment, as opposed to going to a long-term care facility or possibly assisted living. Not that there's anything wrong with those places, but a lot of people would prefer to stay at home for as long as possible, and home care gives you the ability to do that. Home care falls into 2 categories. The first would be what's known as home health, sometimes called intermittent care. the definition of that is basically that it's prescribed by a doctor, and you have to be, since it's paid for by Medicare, the regulation states that you have to be homebound, basically homebound. It doesn't mean that you can't get out of the house and do some errands and things, but you have to basically be, I would call it semi-immobile to do things. And then the third parameter is that you have to have a skilled need. Skilled need meaning you have the need of, say, an RN, registered nurse, a speech therapist, an occupational therapist, those types of licensed caregivers. The physician usually prescribes this upon the completion of a period that you had where you were, say, in the hospital, maybe you were in a long-term care facility, and now you still have a recovery left, but you're well enough to go home. So the physician will then say, okay, I think that this person would benefit from home care. Since it's covered by Medicare, it can also be covered by Medi-Cal and sometimes insurances that pick up the Medicare benefit, but primarily you're talking about a covered benefit. So the physician will prescribe it. It's done on an intermittent basis, which means that the skilled person is going to come in for a temporary period. It may be an hour a week, it may be 3 hours a week, it may be twice a week, it may be 3 times a week. It depends, because the skilled need could be something like a wound, it could be recovery from a physical surgery, a surgery like a hip replacement or a knee replacement, could be somebody with diabetes, could be somebody who had a stroke, heart attack, etc. Now you need further recovery at home. Medicare has parameters that says you can get X number of visits depending upon what the level of your need is. The physician then makes his decision as to how much home care this patient needs, along with the RN case manager at the home health agency. I work for a particular home health agency, assisted, but there's many home health agencies. That agency has a RN case manager, which, quote, opens the case. They go in and they assess the need of the patient, they talk to the doctor, and they come up with a POT or a plan of treatment. That plan of treatment then determines how many visits you're going to get to start out with, and then the case management, along with the doctor, will discuss the case as the days and weeks go by, and they will determine if that visit has been sufficient. Those visits have been sufficient in order to bring the patient back to the point where they can function without the home care. So that's a brief, condensed version of home care, of home health, the intermittent portion of home care. The other part that I was actually originally slated to talk about, because I spend more time on that right now, although I have done both, which is private duty caregiving. Private duty caregiving, otherwise known as custodial caregiving or attending care, is the type of caregiving that you would need if you decide that you need help with the activities of daily living. The activities of daily living are everything from getting up in the morning to getting a bath to going for errands to meal preparation to laundry, helping with medication. Really, they're pretty much self-explanatory by the things that you have to go through in a daily capacity. Those particular items, as Tony was talking about, are often taken care of by family members before the point at which you decide to hire a private caregiver. What happens is that the person who takes care of the patient, usually a family member, finds out that it's not as easy as they thought. They're just inundated with a number of things that they have to do, especially if they're working. They then get to the point where they feel, I need help with this, because, and I'm saying this from personal experience, my dad has a severe case of Parkinson's. My mother has been the caregiver, had been the caregiver for quite a long time, and he also had his leg amputated. And I saw my mom go through tremendous stress to the point that, since they're in Ohio, and I would have periods that I didn't see her, I came back and then I would see my mom, and she would be, I don't know how else to put it, hopefully she won't see this, but aging to the point that it was like double or triple times the aging that I had seen previously when I would visit them yearly. On private duty caregiving, the difference is that you're paying for it out of pocket primarily. Okay, there are other ways of paying for it. We're going to have a talk about long-term care insurance that will include long-term care insurance. That's a great thing to have because that does cover private duty caregiving. Unfortunately, a lot of people presently don't have it, but more and more people are getting it. So private duty is out of pocket. Long-term care insurance pays for it, possibly. And then there are some really, really top-notch policies that do cover some private duty caregiving, just regular insurance policies. And Medi-Cal. Medi-Cal covers homebound, covers private duty caregiving if it's a catastrophic situation, such as paralysis, you have a quadriplegic situation, someone on a ventilator, situations that are extremely serious. So those are the ways that it's paid for, hence the name private duty caregiving. In the situation of private duty caregiving, you have a decision to make about which place do I hire, how do I hire somebody for private duty caregiving. And a lot of people take it lightly and figure that they can get the lowest priced person around. That's a big issue and a big problem. I was in that situation. I saw my parents try that and hire somebody that wasn't from an agency, 2 people actually, and the pitfalls of it are numerous, and they experience those and then change to an agency like our own where you have advantages. The thing about caregiving agencies, home care agencies, is they differ a lot. You have what I'm going to call, for my purposes, reputable home care agencies, and you have other ones which I think are kind of like, I'm not as comfortable with the type of way that they run. The problem is that the private duty caregiving can be opened up by anybody. Unlike the home health, the intermittent, which is regulated by Medicare and Medicaid, private duty caregiving can be opened up by pretty much anybody who wants to have a business license and open up an office. The things that you need to ask for and look for when you're hiring a private duty caregiver are, A, does this agency pay the taxes? Is the employee an employee of the private duty agency? In other words, that means the agency is paying their taxes, their income taxes, they have workers' compensation on the employee, they have liability coverage for the employee, and they are the employee. A lot of times agencies won't address that fact unless you really hound them, because they'll skirt around the issue. The thing is that you have to make sure that that it's not a contracted employee, or that it's not just somebody who is just that you got sort of, for lack of a better way of putting it, through word of mouth or off the street, because then you're responsible for those things. And often the person hiring that private duty caregiver doesn't realize that. The time they realize that is 2 times. One, when that employee doesn't, terminates their employment at that home, and then they decide that they want to get unemployment. So they go to the unemployment agency, which is then going to say, well, wait a minute, nobody was paying unemployment in for you. So now they're going to go back to you, the family, and you're going to have to deal with that. That's one way. The other way is a little less comfortable, a little less savory, which is that there are people out there that will take advantage of this, that will, if they fall in the house or, something happens, they can sue you. They can sue you, and if you're not covered for the liability, then you're responsible. Now, in all honesty, this does not come up often, but I feel like it's important enough that people should ask that question and should know, if that's the case, what sort of coverage this employee has, and whether they come from whether they're an employee of that agency. The other things that you need to ask when you're talking to a potential caregiving agency is, does this agency provide a personal interview? Not every place does, because in that interview, they're going to conduct a screening of this person's background. There's agencies that conduct formal backgrounds, and they're going to find out if this person has anything in their background that would prevent you from wanting to hire them. And also, is this employee have at least a year's experience in the home? Are they supervised by an RN case manager? They're only going to probably be supervised by an RN case manager if that agency, that private duty agency, also is affiliated with or also has an intermittent or home health agency where they have skilled nurses to oversee that private duty caregiver. Therefore, you have to make sure that you're talking to an agency that has these types of things met. Do they have CPR? Is there first aid? Do they have at least a year's experience in the home? Do they conduct reference checks? All of these things are done by a legitimate agency, and you have the right to know about them. A lot of times the person who opens the case, the person who's overseeing the private duty caregiver, does weekly assessments of the case, and they know from their assessments how things are going. Also, with a private duty agency that's reputable, you're going to be able to change that person out. Let's say the patient has gained a lot of weight, or you get a person who, for whatever reason, needs a change in caregiver. You can easily make that change with a legitimate private duty agency because they have a large pool of caregivers to choose from. With an agency that's not reputable, they may have a handful of people and they can't make a change as easily. So these are the types of things that you have to look for when hiring from a private duty caregiver. It's not as simple as who can make it over my house and how low is their price, because inherent in that price is the level of services that you get from that caregiving agency and from that caregiver. I hope that this has been helpful in people trying to make these decisions, and I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Dale. Our next speaker is Janine Thierry. Is that correct, Janine? Am I saying that correctly? Thank you. Jean is with Caregifters Medical Supplies, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Senior Concerns. Now, for over 9 years, they've offered great customer service, thousands of quality medical products, and discreet direct-to-your-door delivery. Now, Caregifters, is a good neighbor and proud to contribute to seniors in our area through a business relationship from which the proceeds go to help run the programs that Senior Concerns offers. Now, so here today is Jeannie Thierry, founder of Caregifters, to talk about some of the products that are available to you. Jeannie?
Thank you. What I'd like to do is just sort of review some of the items that are available through Caregifters that you may not be aware of, and also talk a little bit about safety in the home and some of the things you should be aware of, as well as some of the products that are available for caregivers to help with caregiving or to help themselves to avoid injury and those sort of things. First on the list is bathroom safety. Bathrooms are one of the most dangerous rooms in the house, and they need to be assessed very carefully. You need to look for loose carpeting. You need to have appropriate grab bars in place. You don't want anybody hanging on to a shower door or something that's glass or dangerous like that. Look for tripping factors, and get them properly installed. Caregifters does have grab bars of different lengths and styles that you can get. Toilet seat risers are important. If somebody's had bad knees or had hip surgery, just getting a simple toilet seat riser can help them get up and down from the toilet without assistance and without pain. You can get toilet frames that go around a toilet that also help so they can push themselves off and help themselves down without slipping down or falling down onto the toilet. Tub bars you can get that attach to a tub on the inside, and they just screw down so they have a safety handle to go in and out of a tub without slipping or holding on to that ever so dangerous shower door. And then once they get into the tub, they need a safe place to sit. And you can get a shower chair, and you can get different kinds that fold. Some can attach to the wall and come down, and also shower benches, which are very convenient for helping someone to get in and out of a tub because they are long. 2 legs are on the outside of the tub, and 2 legs go on the inside of the tub, so they can sit down and scooch across the bench to be in a safe spot in the shower. And along with that, you need a handheld shower holder so the water comes out and they can stay seated while showering. Commodes are handy. They're 3-in-1. They can go next to the bed, over the toilet, and some of them that are aluminum can go into the shower as well. Bathing alternatives and cleansers. Sometimes someone may have fear of a shower, or you can't get them into the bath. Then you can use bathing towels, which you can warm and bathe them in bed. There's also no-rinse shampoo caps that you can warm in the microwave, and you just put it on their head and you mush it around a little bit, and it cleans their hair without having to rinse. Many alternatives like that. There are even blow-up bathtubs for the bed, and also for just washing the hair. You can get, it looks like a little miniature child's pool where you blow this up and you can actually bathe somebody in bed. There's a picture of a shower chair. Okay, next. Jody, I'm having your problem there. Okay, aids for daily living. This phrase is used in many different instances, but the aids for daily living can apply to many areas in life. And a lot of times if you're living alone, or if you've had a stroke and you can only use one hand, or you have arthritis, there are many, many things that can help you to apply these products to your life, such as one thing you probably see very often is an item called a rollator. Some people call them walkers. They're little four-wheel rollators when they have a seat for convenience, so someone can sit down if they're tired. They can use that seat to pull it up to them to use as somewhere to eat. A lot of them have baskets, and there's all different little things you can get for them. The walker accessories, so if someone doesn't have to carry their purse and try and use a walker, you can get attachments for the walker so they can have little baskets for their walker. You can get glides so they don't have to have those ever-present tennis balls that are worn through on the bottom and are slippery. And bags so they can actually, instead of carrying a purse, attach it to the walker and use it instead of a purse. Canes and walkers, you have tri-walkers and quads, and actually some very pretty canes out there that you can get to match almost any outfit if you're a stylish lady. Bed rails don't have to look like a hospital. You can get attractive and easy to put in, install bed rails that help you get in and out of bed. They're adjustable up and down, so if you have someone that tends to fall out of bed, you can put a little rail in. It looks very nice and it keeps them from getting hurt. Ramps for wheelchairs, walkers, threshold ramps, things like that to adapt your home. If you have something with wheels, you can spend $100 on a ramp and make your life much simpler. Reachers, you can get many different kinds of reachers. Reachers can be long or short. They have, you can pick up socks and use them for things to help you if you can't bend easily. Utensils can be built up in the handles. So if you have arthritis and you can't hold on to a utensil very tightly, you can get foam things that you can put on almost any utensil, toothbrushes, forks, knives, whatever it is, that can help. Some people with Parkinson's may have shaking, and they have actually swivel spoons so you can eat with a spoon and it won't spill. Hospital gowns don't have to look like a hospital. They can be fashionable looking with maybe a bow or have some kind of masculine fabric to them and still allow the caregiver to get in there. And sock aids for people that can't bend over. Well, there's many, many other products available that you may not know about that you can call and find out. So if you have an issue, you can call and we'll take a look for you. That is a transport chair. It weighs 19 pounds. And it is a wonderful product for a caregiver to get things in and out of the car. Caregivers specializes in adult incontinence. We also do private consultations on adult incontinence. It's a little bit of an uncomfortable conversation, but we have the products that can address any of the problems that you may have. It's very important to get the right product for the right reason. We have products that can get someone through the night, so you don't have to wake up and change, or change the person you're caring for, and their skin is protected, and it really is very helpful so everybody gets a good night's sleep. Personal skin care, washes, wipes, barrier protection, all these things are very important in keeping the skin healthy and dry. Pads for the bed, we have washable pads, we have disposable pads. We have many pads, that you can get different sizes. Some of them tuck in, and washable and disposable options in most of the products that we have. Most people are tending towards the disposable products. Personal protections are very important for caregivers. You need gloves always when you're caring for someone else or helping them with personal care to protect yourself, and get gloves, masks. Sometimes people need gowns. If you're caring for someone with chemo, we have special gloves and items for that. There's a protective underwear. There's a bed pad. And if I can get it, what is that? I can't. There's some washes and creams. Caregifters always tends to skip over some of the things that people need, but I'm going to address some pain management issues. Compression hose are important. You need to check with your doctor before you just buy compression hose, because sometimes they can do more harm than good, and you need to know that you're getting the right thing for the right reason once again. TENS units, electrotherapy. We have TENS pads for the electrotherapy units, which can help with back pain and those kind of things, and that's also something that you need to check with your doctor about. It's very important. Hot and cold packs for pain, neck pain, knee pain, all the little aches and pains that we have. There's many devices and hot and cold packs, things like that, that you can either plug in or put in a microwave, whichever is convenient for you. Orthopedic items, knee joints and braces, sitting bicycle items. So if you don't even have to get up to exercise, you can just sit in your little chair and pedal away. And lumbar support. We have positioners and comfort items as well. There's a neck warmer. There's a knee brace. Those are TENS hose, and also diabetic socks for diabetics, and that's a peddler. Oh, and that's it for me.
Thank you very much, Janine. Our next speaker is Marianne Knight. And Marianne has been involved in the senior care industry for over 12 years. She received her degree in a Bachelor of Science in Health Administration from Cal State Northridge, and began working in operations and administration at a large assisted living facility. In 2003, Marianne started California Senior Living, a Ventura County-based facility referral service which offers free assistance to families. She now acts as an advocate for seniors and their families when it comes time to choose a senior care facility. Marianne?
Thank you. I'm Marianne Knight. Thank you. I'm with California Senior Living. We are a free referral and information service for families as they search for the right care facility for their loved ones. We're a local company. We only serve Ventura County, the Conejo Valley, and our office is located right here in Thousand Oaks. We provide information, assistance, and advocacy to seniors and their families as they go through the process of finding the right care facility, making the transition into that care facility, and we do personal follow-up with them after they move in to ensure quality of service and, of course, their satisfaction. How do we do this? There are two major components to what we do. First, we do in-person facility evaluations at each care facility which we work with. This is to ensure quality and to gather information on everything from pricing, services, staffing, amenities of that facility, physical things about that facility. Secondly, we provide a personal assessment to the senior and family that we're working with to discover what their needs are, physically, socially, and financially. We then take that information on what they are looking for and match that with a list of facilities appropriate to their specific needs only. So we are doing the legwork and a lot of research on their behalf. So we work with families, we work with facilities, and we work with the community. Most families who call us are in crisis. For one reason or another, staying in the home is no longer an option for them. Something has happened. Family members are generally, unfortunately, unprepared to make this decision. This was either something that they never thought they would have to do, no one looks forward to leaving their own home, or it's something that they thought was further off into the future. So they're faced with something that they are unprepared to do. Unfortunately, in a crisis situation like this, the senior is most of the time not able to be a part of that decision-making process, which is too bad. And when the families are looking on their behalf, they're usually basing their decisions about the facilities on their own values. This is also a very emotional time. Removing someone from their home, placing them into a care facility can tear families apart. It is a very emotional time for them. Add to this, they are frustrated, they don't know what their options are, and they haven't done their research. Many questions. What can I afford? What facilities are in my area? Which type of facility is best for my loved one? Senior housing industry today is vast and complicated and becoming more so every day. The assisted living industry, and really all of the healthcare industry, has become a sales culture. There are now over 1 million Americans in over 33,000 assisted living facilities nationwide. In fact, in Ventura County alone, there are nearly 20 skilled nursing facilities and over 200 assisted living facilities right here in our county, and more all the time. You need to be an informed consumer. You need to do the research. You need to know your options. You need to use a service like ours that can help you. The options that are available in our community. Independent living communities. These are rare. These are facilities. They are hotel-like. People have their own private unit. They provide what are called the basic services: meals, activities, housekeeping, transportation type services. No care facilities are provided in this environment. You have then the assisted living facilities. These are more common. There are many in our area. They provide all of these basic services along with assisted living services such as help with medication, bathing, dressing, assistance to and from the dining room, maybe helpful reminders. A lot of folks in these types of facilities use wheelchairs and walkers. Then there are the board and care residences. These are residential homes right in our very own neighborhoods. They provide care to a maximum of 6 people at one time, no more than that, and they are under the same licensure and regulations as the large assisted living facilities are. This is a great alternative for people who are more frail, maybe there are some memory impairments, and the care can be provided in a very home-like atmosphere. You then have skilled nursing and rehabilitation facilities. These are 24-hour nursing care facilities, and generally, people who are going into these facilities, it is not a choice. It's physician-ordered, or they're coming out of the hospital after an illness, an injury, or maybe receiving rehab after a surgery. These are the facilities where Medicare and Medicaid will come into play. Alzheimer's care. These can be standalone facilities, although the most common form of Alzheimer's and dementia care services are a segment, a separate section of an assisted living community where they provide care to these folks who have special needs. Oftentimes they will have their own staff, their own dining facility, their own activity program structured for their specific needs. Alzheimer's and dementia care services, most people might think fall under the nursing home or skilled nursing title, but actually these are assisted living services, and most of the time they're provided in that environment. In fact, most skilled nursing facilities will not accept someone with advanced Alzheimer's or dementia care needs. Lastly, there are multi-care level facilities. We only have one in this county. This is a facility which will provide services on all of these levels, from independent and assisted to skilled, and then assistance for those with Alzheimer's and memory impairments. So we do have many options. Cost. How am I going to pay for this? Well, there aren't many ways. Moving into a senior care facility can provide an extreme financial burden on the family, again, because generally they are not prepared and have not done their research. Assisted living is private pay only. It is a cash-based business. It is like paying rent. The only time that Medicare and Medicaid will pay for care services is in the skilled nursing facility environment. Medicare and Medicaid do not pay any portion of assisted living. Costs nationwide, the average for a single unit in an assisted living facility is just under $3,000 per month, or just over $35,000 annually. There's also the national average of 2.2% of an increase on this rate. And in this area, no big surprise, we're above the national average. Our market here in Ventura County, our average is about $4,800 on the high side for a base rate. $4,800 per month base rate. That is on the high end. When I say base rate, when you go into facilities and see their information and pricing, the prices you see is for your unit and your basic services only. This does not include any charges generally for care services provided in that facility. Medication, bathing, dressing, any of that assistance generally will be at an additional cost. These are things that people need to know. Even though finding the right care facility for a loved one is need-driven, it does not have to be crisis-driven. This is just a small amount of information that folks need when they are going through this process. We do pride ourselves on providing people with the right tools to make a good decision. Best decisions are not made in a crisis. Do the research, call us. We would love to assist you. Visit your local facilities, ask questions, and start gathering information. This can be a positive experience, and it is proven that people can thrive in facilities when they are taken out of their home. And one last thing, remember that just because you place your loved one in a facility does not mean that you are relinquishing your duties as their caregiver. You are still their caregiver, and they will probably need you more now than ever. Thank you. Thank you for having us, Jim.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Our next speaker is Patricia A. Fishman. Now, Patricia, a registered financial consultant, is a strategic wealth planner with Planned Estate Services in Westlake. As a licensed investment advisor representative, her fee-based life planning practice focuses on wealth accumulation, estate conversation, retirement income strategies, tax planning, charitable giving, and long-term care planning. So please welcome Patricia as she presents the issues surrounding long-term care. Patricia?
Thank you, Jim. And I'd like to thank the City's Council on Aging for the opportunity to speak to you on a cause that is near and dear to my heart, because I have already lived it. I lost both of my parents in the past 4 years. So I know firsthand that long-term care is not only about you, it is about you and your family. Do you believe that you will live a long life? Did you know that years ago when someone had a stroke, cancer, or a heart attack, that person usually died? Today, that person might very well recover from the ailment and continue to live for many more years. Sometimes the recovery is complete, sometimes it isn't. But that person will continue to live, most likely needing some long-term care. But was that person prepared for such an event? Are you prepared for such an event? Let's imagine that you're in your garden doing what you love to do, and you have a stroke. Now, let's fast forward to the day before your last day in the hospital. Your family is around you. Everyone is happy that you have survived, but concerned about the next steps. The doctor and social worker come in and talk about care requirements at home, 24-hour care to start, tapering off as improvement continues, some skilled nursing care initially. The prognosis is a 95% recovery. And she asks, who will be staying with you to help you in the first stages of your recovery? Will you have an answer? How many of you today are prepared to answer that question? How many have put a strategy together to address the question, who, where, and how will care be delivered, should you need care? How many of you have a plan that will help ensure that you will not outlive your financial resources even when you do need? And 1 out of 2 of you will need long-term care. So let's go back to our story. Remember the doctor's question, who will be providing the 24-hour care that is required? So now imagine your children are sitting around you. 3 children. One lives out of state with her family. One who is 30 minutes away with a high-powered career. One who is in state but just got a promotion to a much more demanding job. Who's going to be there to help you? To help your spouse take care of you? Now remember, your family will naturally want to take care of you, whether you want them to or not. It's what families do for each other because they love each other. They may even set up the rotation, 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. Care will be taken not to interfere with school and work travel schedules, but at what expense? In other words, what impact could a long-term care event have on your plans and your families? The sad thing about caregiving, while it is done out of love, it rarely brings families together. In fact, it often drives them apart because the responsibility is often not equally shared. So, we're fortunate that we may live a long life. Studies, or are we? Studies have shown that the longer people live, the greater the likelihood that they will develop chronic conditions that will require them to need assistance with day-to-day activities. As the baby boomers reach age 65 and beyond, the need for long-term care services will increase dramatically, straining state Medicaid budgets and exhausting your retirement savings plans. So wouldn't you agree that living a long life is more of a reality today? And planning for that long life is now more of a necessity? What can cause the need for long-term care? What is long-term care and what is it not? Generally, long-term care refers to the personal care and other related services provided on an extended basis to people who need help with certain activities of daily living, ADLs: bathing, dressing, eating, toileting, transferring, incontinence, or who need supervision due to severe cognitive impairments such as Alzheimer's disease. Did you know that studies have shown that 1 out of 2 people over age 85 need help with their ADLs? The need for long-term care can be caused by a chronic illness or disease, broken or fractured bones, muscular or nerve conditions, or loss in mental strength. It can be caused by a spinal cord injury, stroke, heart disease, mental retardation, or Alzheimer's disease. Oh, and oh, by the way, needing long-term care does not happen just when we are older. It could happen at any time in our lives. It happens every day. We may have an accident playing a game, falling off a horse, in a car, slipping and falling in the shower. 47% of people who require long-term care today, and that's about 5.3 million, are working adults between the ages of 18 and 64, including 400,000 children. Now, what is not long-term care? What is acute care? Well, long-term care by its very name is not of short duration. It is not where you get better after medical treatment that is provided in a hospital or doctor's office. This is what is called acute care. And where are long-term care services provided? Well, they're provided wherever you need them, not just in a nursing home. In fact, did you know that most long-term care services can be delivered in your own home? So why should you plan for long-term care? Well, let's look at some myths surrounding long-term care. After all, you say, it won't happen to me. The fact is that in 2005, about 9 million men and women over 65 needed long-term care. Stroke is the leading cause of serious long-term disability in the United States. More than 1.1 million Americans reported difficulty with their ADLs due to stroke. Oh, but you say, I'm already covered. Well, do you have an individual medical plan, a group health plan, an HMO, Medicare, Medicare supplement, or disability income insurance? The fact is, long-term personal or custodial care is not covered by any of these plans. Oh, but I'm covered by the government, right? By Medicare and Medicaid? Generally, Medicare and Medicaid offer very limited long-term care options. And what does Medicare cover? As Dale so well addressed this, Medicare pays for skilled nursing care for up to 100 days maximum, and it must follow a 3 consecutive day hospitalization. And it only pays 100% of the first 20 days. A copayment is required from day 21 through day 100. Medicare will pay for some limited care at home, as Dale explained. You must be homebound, and the care must be intermittent, skilled nursing care that is approved by a doctor under a plan of care. You must use a Medicare certified home health agency as assisted. Well, then what about Medicaid? You say, how does Medicaid, or Medi-Cal as it is called in California, work? Well, Medicaid is a federal and state program for those in financial need. To qualify for it, you must spend down until you have nearly depleted your financial and personal assets. And it may not be wise to consider a transfer of assets to your family or loved ones, as the state has restrictions against this and may be able to recover the money if a violation of the state's policy is discovered. All right, but my family can take care of me. Of course, your family will take care of you. That's what families do, right? If you remember our story, not everyone lived close by. Besides, for how long will they be able to go on providing care? Who gets to take the first shift? Who takes a leave of absence from their job? And at what cost? Not just financial, but emotional as well. Okay, but I can't afford long-term care insurance. It's too expensive, you say. Well, let's first consider the cost of the care. The national average cost for certified home health aides is $18.54 per hour. Multiply that by 24. Do the math. For non-certified homemaker services, it's $16.82 per hour. The national average for assisted living facilities for a private one-bedroom unit is between $2,500 to $4,500 a month. So you can count on paying on average $69,400 for a private room or $61,000 for a semi-private room in a facility annually. How would your family handle these costs if they became necessary? That said, is private insurance really too expensive? And did you know that private insurance policies can be customized to fit your budget? Well, I don't need to do any of that. I don't need to do anything, you say. Well, of course, right. You can plan to do nothing. You can plan to have your spouse or children provide care until you use up all your assets and maybe some of theirs as well. Then when your assets are gone and your family can no longer provide care, you will apply for Medi-Cal, financial aid for the poor. Is that your plan? Now, due to time constraints today, I will be skipping over the next 3 screens in which I share some statistics, some important statistics on personal health care expenditures, who pays for long-term care, and some examples of cost comparisons between actual cost of care and actual cost of private insurance, and some creative ways of funding your long-term care needs, such as using earned interest on savings to fund private insurance costs and thereby preserving your principal. Instead, I'd like to invite those of you here today and those of you who are viewing at home to come to a free workshop entitled, Do You Know Your Long-Term Care IQ? And which you will learn more about how you can plan for your long-term care needs, and this flyer is in your brochures. I'll be giving 2 workshops in May, one on Wednesday evening, May 16th at 6:30, and one on Friday morning, May 18th at 10 a.m. in my office. And for directions, you can call the number 805-367-2042, or if you prefer to arrange a personal meeting, I'd be very happy to do so. It is so vital for you to know that you need to plan now instead of waiting for something to happen. Don't wait until the inevitable happens. Don't wait until the doctor asks you and your family, how and where will your care be delivered, and how will it be paid for? By then, it will be too late. Wouldn't you rather be able to answer, we have planned for this. We know what our options are and how we will execute our plan of care. Remember, if you don't do it for yourself, do it for your family. Help them help you. Planning for a long-term care event is better than the alternative. Do your homework, do your research, come to a workshop, do it now. Thank you. Jim?
Thank you very much, Patricia. Our next speaker is Julia Weissong. Now, Julia is going to talk to us about reverse mortgages. Julia became an expert in reverse mortgages after many years of working in the reverse mortgage industry. After much practical experience and training, Julia became a reverse mortgage consultant and a certified senior advisor, or CSA. With her CSA designation, she is trained to help seniors and their families through the social, psychological, and financial transitions that they face. Today, Julie will be giving us an education on reverse mortgages. She will explain how the loan works, its benefits and drawbacks, and who may or may not benefit from a reverse mortgage. Julia?
Thank you, Jim. Now, as I mentioned before, the topic of reverse mortgages is one that is very widely misunderstood. Today I'm going to clear your slates of any misunderstandings you may have, any misconceptions you may have on reverse mortgages. In addition, this is a loan that is very complicated. There are many, many little details about the different options and programs that there are available. I'm going to leave that out of my presentation today and give you a very clear-cut and precise idea of what reverse mortgages are by describing to you both the benefits and the drawbacks of this program. At the end of my presentation, you'll have a good idea of who's right and who is not right for a reverse mortgage. But first, what is a reverse mortgage? A reverse mortgage is a home loan for seniors 62 and older, which allows them to receive cash for a portion of the equity in their home. How does this work? Well, seniors qualify for a certain amount of money based on their age, current interest rates, and the value of their home. Once they've gotten the amount they qualify for, they can elect to take that in a variety of ways. There are monthly payments that will last as long as the borrower is living in the home. There's also credit lines which will grow at a certain percentage per year. You can also choose to take it in a lump sum if you have big plans for the money, or you can go for a variety of these 3 ways. The loan is due back to the lender when the borrower permanently moves out of the home. Now, most lenders consider that this has taken place after 12 consecutive months of non-occupancy. Okay, moving to the next slide. The reason why this product has been so popular and has been gaining popularity with much momentum in the last few years is because of the benefits, which I will go over right now. Now, first of all, there's a very common misconception out there that when you take a reverse mortgage, the lender now owns your home. Now, this is not true, and the reason is that borrowers retain title to the home. When your name is on the title of your home, no lender has any right to take it out from under you, to sell it out from under you, or do anything such as that. In addition, reverse mortgages are a non-recourse loan. Now, what is a non-recourse loan? This simply means that at the time the loan is due to the lender, the balance will never exceed the value of the home. For example, suppose you took a reverse mortgage 10 years ago, and now it is due. In the meantime, that housing bubble everybody's been talking about has crashed, and your home is now worth half the amount that it originally was. Of course, hypothetical situation. Well, guess what? You are not responsible to pay back any more than you can get for the sale of your home minus the fees to sell it. Now, keep in mind, this doesn't mean you have to sell your home. You can always refinance if you wish to keep the home in your family's estate. But do know that the lender cannot go after any other portion of your estate or your heirs for repayment of this loan. Now, the third benefit I've listed here is the benefit that makes this loan so popular with senior citizens. There are no payments due to the lender for the entire term of the loan. This is what sets this loan apart from any other conventional home loans that are available out there. I want you to think about that for a moment, too. A lender is going to lend you hundreds of thousands of dollars and not require any payment back for basically an indefinite period of time, for as long as you're living in your home. That could be a good 20, 30 years. This is the benefit that really makes this loan a great opportunity for senior citizens. In addition to this, these loans are very safe. The Federal Housing Administration, FHA, oversees the entire reverse mortgage industry. They regulate the rates, the fees, and the terms of all of the different reverse mortgage programs that are available to make sure that seniors are well taken care of and are not being taken advantage of. The funds are also tax-free. We're talking about a home loan and not income, so Uncle Sam has to keep his hands out. And these loans are also very easy to qualify for. Again, since you're not making any payments to the lender for the loan, the lender does not qualify you based on your credit, assets, and income as they would with a conventional loan. Their primary concern is that your home is in sound condition and will most likely be able to pay back the balance at the end of the term. So with that, they do go through some slightly heftier inspections than you would have with a conventional loan. A last benefit I'd like to bring up is with one of the reverse mortgage programs, the jumbo program. It's called the equity retention option. And what this basically is instead of basing your loan amount on the entire home value, you can base the loan amount on a percentage of your home value, so that when the loan is due, that leftover percentage is always yours. The loan balance can never overcome that percentage. This is a very nice feature for people who need some cash but still want to leave some of their equity to their heirs. Now, I know that this sounds like a fantastic program, and it really is, but it's very important to realize the drawbacks of this loan. And with the drawbacks, we certainly do start to realize who is a good fit for this program and who is not. First, these loans are not free. There is a charge for them. Now, there are no out-of-pocket costs, but reverse mortgages can be very expensive depending on the program. The costs associated with the reverse mortgage are, first, your initial loan costs, such as appraisal, your title insurance, your termite inspection. All of those can be financed into the loan amount. With the FHA program, which is currently the most popular reverse mortgage, there's FHA insurance you must pay, and this is where the costs really come up. There's a premium, a percentage on the balance that are on the principal that you pay up front, and then you pay an additional percentage every month on your balance. And in addition, you also are paying interest. Now, the nature of this loan, again, since we're not making payments to bring the balance down, is that we have a loan balance that grows for the life of the loan, and inversely, the equity does go down. Now, keep in mind, you do have the home's appreciation on your side. The lender has no claim on the appreciation of your home, but naturally there's interest accruing, and they are due the interest. The last drawback to reverse mortgages is that the loan amounts are often less than some expect. Why, you may have $600,000 of equity in your home, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you will be receiving $600,000 for the lender. Again, the lender wants to make sure that at the time the balance is due back to them, that the home value will most likely be able to cover that amount. And back to originally how you qualify for an amount of money, your age is the most important. The older you are, the more money you will be able to receive. So from the benefits and the drawbacks, I've come up with 4 qualifications that you can use to figure out if a reverse mortgage is right for you. The first one is elementary. You will need or want money, otherwise there's no point in getting the loan. Secondly, you should be planning to live at home and stay there. You will benefit the most if you stay in your home for the rest of your life. Now, the reason is again, these loans can be very expensive, and you have a situation where the balance is rising, your equity is falling. If you're planning to go to assisted living, a reverse mortgage is not the right option for you. Again, back to those costs, the longer you have the loan, the more years you can spread those costs over, which make it a much more effective loan the longer you're in the house. Third, the person getting a reverse mortgage needs to realize that they will not be leaving their home free and clear to their family. The home can stay in the family, but there will be a loan that needs to be paid off. Last, somebody who's considering a reverse mortgage should look at the other assets in their estate and examine the costs of liquidating other assets. You need to look at all of your options and make sure that this is the best move for your long term. Okay, next slide. Lastly, when thinking about a reverse mortgage, again, since this is a long-term decision, you want to look at your options, and there are quite a few. In the consideration of time, I'm not going to go into very much detail with these, but I will list them off. There's a home equity line of credit, which is a good short-term alternative to a reverse mortgage. They're much less expensive, but do keep in mind with these that there are payments that are due to the lender, and it is possible to lose your home if you all of a sudden are unable to make these payments. There's also something they call a sale leaseback. If you have a friend or family member that wishes to invest in your property, you can actually sell that to them, and then they lease it back to you. So you end up with an amount of money, but you're essentially paying them off over time. And this is one I recommend you find an attorney and write up the parameters of the agreement to make sure that everybody sticks to what they've promised. The last few options, you can always relocate to a less expensive area. You can reduce your spending, budget your money. And lastly, you can always get a job. AARP actually has many programs with corporations nationwide to hire senior citizens who are in need of work. That concludes my presentation, so I'm going to hand the floor back to you, Jim.
Thank you very much, Julie, and thanks to all of you. It was a very informative session. Appreciate you all being here. At this time, I'll turn the meeting back over to Chairman Norkin.
I, too, thank all the panelists for a very informative session. I hope all the audience in the studio and home enjoyed the program. The Commission thanks each of the panelists. We hope it will make a difference in the lives and of those seniors who took in the broadcast. Stay with us for some very brief community reports. The Senior of the Year Awards night is coming up, so please listen for information about it. Maxine and Francine.
Any questions from the audience?
Oh, I'm sorry. Were there any questions? I'm sorry. Does anybody have any questions for our panel before we move on?
One problem found out the reverse mortgage is the interest is not deductible from the IRS standpoint until you die. This is a big burden on a lot of people. Some people are paying at least $10,000 a year in interest. They cannot deduct.
I'm really glad that you brought that up. The reason why they're not able to deduct the interest is because even though they're accruing interest on their balance, they're not actually paying it. But at the time it is paid, suppose they decide to move and the loan is paid off, then all of that interest is tax deductible. So think of it more as a deferred deduction.
Any more questions? Yes, Gene.
Yes, Julia, I was wondering about the condominium environment. We get questions very often from people who live in condominiums who are interested in a reverse mortgage, but they're faced with the fact that the condominium association's reserves do not, or disqualify actually, the members of that homeowner association from getting a reverse mortgage. Do we have any alternatives for them to receive and get a reverse mortgage?
Unfortunately, I'm not aware of any alternatives, but the best I can do for you is explain why this situation happens. Again, the lender is more or less investing in the property, and one of the requirements when getting a reverse mortgage is that your hazard insurance must cover the amount to build the structure from the ground up in case there's a fire or an earthquake. The lender wants to assure that that building will still be there and will still help them to collect their balance at the end of the term. So oftentimes condominiums are not covered for that full amount, and that is the issue there. It's unfortunate, and I wish I had a better answer than that.
Thank you very much.
Susan has a question.
Yes, I have a question for Marianne. With your California Senior Living, can you explain to us how your services are funded? You said it's a free service to seniors.
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you. It is a totally free service to the families who we work with. There's no charge to them. The facilities who we contract with that pass our evaluations pay for our service. They want our referrals and they welcome them because they are qualified and appropriate for their particular facility, and they like to fill their beds. So they pay a fee to us after one of our clients moves into their facility. They do have to be there for a particular length of time before we will send them a bill, and they do have to be satisfied. So we do go to bat for the family still.
Yes, go ahead.
I had a question for Julia on the long-term care. If I got that right? No, excuse me, Patricia. Sorry. You implied that once you get into a long-term care facility, skilled or otherwise, I mean, a long-term care facility, what we normally call a nursing facility, that there were extra costs. You implied that some of the activities of daily living that you might get, the assistance, that there was a cost for those things. And I think that needs to be clarified. I think the basic things like food, bathing, et cetera, all of those are covered once you're in such a facility. Obviously, getting your hair done, nails and things like that and so forth may not be, or if you want special attention during the day. So I think I thought you need to clarify that. The second point that I would recommend to you, that since long-term care, particularly when speaking to senior audiences, since long-term care, the premiums are so age and health dependent, the rates are, that those decisions need to be made, once you're in your 70s and say, gee, I think I'll take out long-term care insurance. It's probably too late. Could very well be too late unless you want it independently. Then in which case you just, if you can afford it, you do it independently. So I think those two areas needed some clarification.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to address or bring Marianne back to address your first question, because I believe that she would be able to do that more efficiently than I can. So Marianne, would you like to do that? And as far as the second question is concerned, yes, in fact, premiums, costs of insurance do depend upon health and your age. Consequently, the thrust of what I'm trying to say here is do your research now. Plan ahead, because yes, the costs become prohibitive. And purchasing private insurance is very much dependent upon your good health. So plan ahead again. Don't wait until something happens that you aren't able to use that resource for your costs and to help your family out. Marianne?
I'll address your first question. I think it was about extra costs for assisted living services versus just what we call a base rate.
I was thinking of the nurse skill.
No, that's a different scenario. Typically in skilled nursing, there are not those extra costs, but in assisted living facilities, they have their base rate for basic services and add-ons for care services. Any other questions for me while I'm up here? Yeah.
You mentioned there was only one facility in Ventura County that had all levels of care, independent living, assisted living, and skilled nursing.
Yes.
Is that the University Village, or is that the second one that's going to be?
No, I'm glad you brought that up because that's a different scenario. What I was referring to is a facility. It's actually in Camarillo. It's a multi-level care facility owned by a very large corporation. It's the only one of our kind in Ventura County. University Village is a CCRC, continuing care retirement community. It's a big project. We don't work with those types of communities. That's new to this area, but that's a wonderful project, and they do welcome people up in their office to ask questions.
Is the one in Camarillo the Brighton Gardens? Is that what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Are there any more questions?
I have one more question. I have the same question somebody asked about the funding for Tony. You have a free service as well, is that correct? And how are you funded for that?
Our service is free, it's true, yes. We're funded through the state budget, through mental health funds. Our program, like I said, was established about 25 years ago. And all of our services, everything that we provide as far as someone like me going out to provide those services, some of the respite care funds and some of the funds that are paid for the educational programs that we offer and all that comes through a grant portion of our program. But it's through the state budget. The Resource Centers is this is the only program that's offered in this area, which is for caregivers, and it's a state-funded program all over California. There's 11 locations.
Thank you, Tony. And any more questions? If not, then we'll move on to our committee reports. And because of time limitations, I'm going to cut out some of the committee reports, and unless some commissioner has some comment he wants to make about it, but I'm going to go to Public Information, Outreach, and Senior of the Year. And if anybody has any comment outside of that, please say so now. If not, then we'll move on to Programs and Public Information. Jim?
Yes, thanks, Harry. In keeping with today's theme, our June speaker will be Luann Davis, who's with the Ombudsman Program, Long-Term Care Services of Ventura County, and she'll be giving us a whole rundown of what their capabilities are and what their focus is. So please listen in, watch us. That's for June. Thank you.
That will be on June 7th. Outreach program. Mel?
Thank you, Harry. Just briefly, I want to remind our audience and inform them that on May 15th, the Council on Aging will be presenting its proposed outreach program to the city, to the Thousand Oaks City Council. We will be asking the City Council to direct the Council on Aging to plan and prepare a senior adult master plan and to include outreach and a needs assessment for the senior adult population in Thousand Oaks. I welcome you all to be there in person, or you can certainly watch it on Channel 10 TOTB. I also want to invite and urge our Council on Aging commissioners to attend if they can, and to be there to support our program. Thank you.
In line with Mel's appearance before City Council on May 15th, I want to remind the seniors that this is Older Americans Month and that the City Council will present a certificate to the Council on Aging in regards to that, and I urge all commissioners to be there when the certificate is presented. Okay, now to our most important business, Senior of the Year, and Susan.
Thank you. Just to remind everybody to please join the City of Thousand Oaks Council on Aging in honoring special nominees at our Senior of the Year dinner and social on Thursday, June 7th at 6 p.m. at the Goebel Senior Adult Center. This year we will be honoring Bob Fitch, Edward Francis, Irv Kerner, Ida Lee, Joe and Dottie LeWalt, Arlene Norkin, and Mary Williford. We're going to have an Italian fiesta theme and a spaghetti dinner, and entertainment will be from the unforgettable band, The Unforgettables.
Yeah, it'll be on Thursday night, June 7th, at 6 o'clock, and tickets are available at the City of Thousand Oaks or at the Goebel Center, and we ask for a donation of $3. And just come and support your favorite nominee and see who Mayor Andy Fox is going to name as the Senior of the Year. And now we'll move on to Liaison Reports. I'll turn the microphone over to Gene.
Thank you, Harry. Our Liaison Reports will be very brief for this meeting. Let me call on Commissioner Mel Silberberg, who will give a report on the Ventura County Area Agency on Aging. Mel?
Thank you, Gene. I'll say a few words, and perhaps if Jim Searden wishes to, he could add a few things. Primarily, right now, the Area Agency on Aging is reviewing what it does, its work, and its bylaws. A special committee has been set up so that, in fact, the Area Agency on Aging Advisory Council can move on into the future and be better prepared to do the business of reaching out and working with seniors and providing services to seniors. So there is the bylaws committee has been meeting. The bylaws that are finally arrived at will be put to for a vote to the council after the council has 30 days to review it. That is the advisory council. And so sometime on the second Wednesday of June, those changed bylaws will be passed. And when that happens, we will report that to the Council on Aging and indicate how it might impact and certainly coordinate with our own work. Jim,
I have nothing to add.
Thank you. May I call now on Commissioner Shentis for a report on the Retired Senior Volunteer Program?
The Rsvp income tax program ended last month. They served 1,053 clients, saved them $253,000 in tax preparation fees, and they obtained $314,000 in refunds. The Rsvp office at the Goebel Center would like to let you know about their boutique hand shop located at the Goebel Center, which has a number of handmade and gift items. and they have greeting cards that they sell for 50 cents each that are equal to any that you can buy in a store. And coming up soon are training programs for volunteers at the Ronald Reagan Museum and for the Adult Literacy Program. And if you're interested in volunteering for one of these items, call Rsvp, and their number is 381-2742. Thank you.
Before we move on, sitting in our audience is Richard Durning, the head of the income tax program at the Global Center, and the council would like to thank him for his efforts in serving as many customers or clients as he has, and the amount of money he got back in return. Richard, you've done a hell of a job. Thank you.
Amen. Amen, Richard. I was there and I saw the countless numbers of people waiting in line for your services. That's wonderful. I'd like now to call on Andrea Koval, who is Recreation Supervisor of the Global Senior Adult Center, for a brief report today. Andrea?
Good afternoon, everybody. A couple words. The Ventura County Area Agency on Aging has a whole flyer and little brochure out because May, since we're just second day of May, is Older Americans Month. So there's different activities and programs and whatnot throughout the county. So you can always look for that or go online. So everywhere throughout Ventura County, there's different special events going on. I did want to go through the things that we do have this month coming up. We have a wonderful fun seminar, Introduction to Self-Hypnosis, which is going to be on Thursday, May 10th at 3:15. So that should be a really nice event to don't be funny up there. Really nice event and seminar just to learn how it's more about relaxation and helping to train yourself to relax and get over some of maybe your excessive habits of one thing or another. John Bravos will be back with his part 3 of comparative religion. Now, mind you, it's not a religious forum by any means, but it does talk about all the different groups and areas throughout the whole United States and the world and the different things that are taking place. And orientation for newcomers, that is always a really good program. So anybody who's maybe just started coming to the center or has been wanting to come to the center, this is the place to come and the time. So that would be on Wednesday, May 16th at 9:30. All anyone has to do is just call in so we know that you're coming, so we have enough materials. And you can learn all about the center and the programs and how to use the center to your fullest. And our senior festival, it's been mentioned a few times, and what's really great is several of our guest speakers are also going to be there. So they were talking about solutions for senior care. Well, this is solutions for everyday life, senior care, those that are the sandwich generation. So you have a lot of nonprofits and senior serving businesses there. So it's kind of a fun day with seminars and booths and prizes and silent auction, and the whole day is free except if you want lunch, and we're doing pre-sale tickets for that. So you don't even have to call, you can just show up from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. So that'll be Saturday, May 19th. And we're bringing back an afternoon tea dance. A couple people have asked for it, so we're going to do that in June. So that'll be June 10th. And then we're also going to do a sock hop summer dance. And we're going to have a DJ and dress in 50s outfits if you can, and have a lot of fun doing those. So those two dances will be coming up in June. That is pretty much it, except for Senior of the Year that you all have been mentioning, because that does take place at the Global Senior Adult Center. So it's June 7th, and again, we have tickets as well as City and the Council on Aging. So make sure you definitely come on in, because it's only $3, and it's a fun event. It takes up our whole room, so please come out. And the Unforgettables are really, really good music. And I'm sure the dinner that Francine's planning and you're all planning is going to taste just phenomenal. So I'm looking forward to that. The only other thing I want to talk about is our speakers outreach. I've got a whole PowerPoint presentation, so if anybody's interested in what the Senior Adult Center does, what the Council on Aging kind of helps us do, and the Global Senior Adult Center has a nonprofit commission. There's a whole variety of information out there. So I'm more than welcome to come and do presentations to community groups, businesses, anything like that. So, and the number for the Global Senior Adult Center is 805-381-2744. So if you need to sign up for classes or want a presentation or need more information, just go ahead and call, and we're more than happy to help you out. Anybody have any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Before we move on, is there any new business for the commission? Any old business? Commissioners' comments? I have a couple of comments, and I'd like to start with this one here. Haverim B'nai B'rith in Thousand Oaks is celebrating its 25th anniversary on May 20th at a luncheon to be held at the Agora Renaissance Hotel. Haverim B'nai B'rith is an affiliate of B'nai B'rith International. Haverim B'nai B'rith has been a leader in performing community and humanitarian services for people in at all ages. Some examples of this, they work with the homeless. They have funded scholarship for high school seniors for exemplary community service. Recently, they have been working on a joint program with many mansions to deliver affordable housing for very low-income families and seniors. For more information on the luncheon, please call 805-530-1118. And before we sign off on another broadcast, I would like to remind all viewers that the Commission wants to hear from all of you. We want to hear what's good and what's bad. We want to hear about birthdays and anniversaries, births of grandchildren or great-grandchildren, or any other event you wish to share with the senior community. It would give us all great pleasure in announcing these events during our broadcasts. To all who know her, Marguerite, who has since moved to Orange County, will be 102 in July. We all wish her a happy birthday.
Yay.
And with that, this concludes our broadcast. Thank you all for coming, and thank you.